Good evening, good evening, good evening. Welcome to another rendition of Tuesday Talk with Dr. Yes. That's right. Guess what? We're having some technical difficulties. My camera does not want to operate, but we're going to go forth with the talk show on tonight. The camera was working fine yesterday, but we're going to keep moving, keep moving. Again, welcome to Tuesday Talk with Dr. Yaz. That's right. You're in the right place at the right time. Be sure to share the video, like the video. We have a very hot topic on tonight. It's the last Tuesday. That's right. It's the last Tuesday in the month of August, and we're excited about what's going to take place on this evening. Tomorrow we'll bring in September, but we're just so grateful to be a part of this world and this life. It's just so much going on. I was sitting, reflecting, watching the news this evening, looking at the wildfire that's going on in California. Hurricane Ida that hit Louisiana, Mississippi, moving forward, expected to hit some more states. In the state of Georgia, we're getting rain. We may get something beyond that rain. And I'm just grateful. COVID. Delta variants, there's so much going on, and rise back up with COVID. But I'm just grateful to be alive, grateful to have air in my lungs. And I know that you are again. Thank you for tuning in and joining in tonight. Tuesday Talk with Dr. Yaz. I reside in the Middle Georgia area. This virtual talk show, it airs the last Tuesday of each month at 8 p.m. Again, be sure to like this video and to share this video. And if you are just not tuning in, I'm having technical difficulties with my camera, but I'm here. I got up and put my makeup on, got on a cute top, but that's okay. It's not about me. It's about the message that we're going to talk about tonight, the topic. Some acknowledgments: Reginald Holloway Sr., music production; Victor Williams, Majestic Graphics, logo production; Royalty Rain Consulting and Design, video production; Christy Driggers, photo credits. Tonight's topic: blended families. What comes to mind when you hear the word blended families? Families has been upon this earth from the beginning of time. Family is the unit that holds this earth together. It's the unit that holds the church together. Companies together. Families together. Families. What comes to mind when you hear the word blended? Blended families. I looked up blended families, and according to the parentology website, it says a blended family forms when parents combine families with the children from one or both of their previous relationships. I work in a public school system, and I see several dynamics of families every day. And they all make it work, whether you're blended or not. But tonight, we're going to talk about blended family. And I'm so glad to have Mr. and Mrs. Simmons, joining us on tonight. I don't know who the Stevens are, but if you need to tune in. Stevens came out and not Simmons. Again, we're having technical difficulties. You can't see me, but I can see you virtually some kind of way. So we're just moving forward on tonight. I'm going to give some statistics about blended families. I will introduce our guest couple, and we're going to dive into some candid discussion. Blended families, Tuesday Talk with Dr. Yaz. According to Step Families Foundation website, and when I was researching, I really didn't see a lot of statistics out there about blended families. It said that there wasn't much research out there, but there was some, and a lot of the research I saw kept repeating itself. But I did find something on Step Families Foundation website. It says the majority of families have shifted from the original biologically bonded mother, father, and child. We are now a nation in which the majority of families are divorced, and you have some families where they have been married and someone has died and that person is widowed. Most go on to remarry or form living together relationships. It does say, according to the U.S. Bureau of Census relates, 1,300 new step families are forming every day. So families are forming every day. Over 50% of U.S. families are remarried or recoupled. 75% remarry. It says 66% of those living together are remarried, sometimes break up, but we want couples to be together forever when children are involved. It says 80% of remarried or recoupled partners with children both have careers. We see that a lot. 50% of the 60 million children under the age of 13 are currently living with one biological parent and that parent's current partner. That's true. It goes back to the 1990 U.S. Census stated that there would be more step families than original families by the year 2000. We have surpassed that. We're in year 2021, but it states that over 1,300 new step families are forming every day. So that's a lot of families that's being formed in the United States of America, a lot. So welcome to the show, Mr. and Mrs. Simmons. How y'all doing?
Hi, how are you doing?
Thank you for having us.
Great. It is so glad to have you all on tonight. I'm going to introduce them. Mr. and Mrs. Simmons have been married almost 7 years on September the 14th. My parents were married in the month of September. They're going to celebrate 40 years September the 10th.
Wow, congratulations.
That's amazing.
Yes, thank you. Together they have 5 children and 1 new grandson, Jalen. The children ages range from 24 to 13. Mr. Simmons is a proud Morehouse graduate. He now serves as the finance and administration director of Georgia CASA and recently celebrated 21 years. That is awesome. Mrs. Simmons is a college graduate of Virginia College in Birmingham, Alabama, with a degree in human resource management and a graduate of Strayer University with a degree in business management. Mrs. Simmons is the owner of, pronounce that for me, Mrs. Simmons.
10 Swallow Catering.
I love it. 10 Swallow Catering, where she serves as master executive chef. You've got to check out her website and her Facebook page. Her catering is phenomenal. Her desire is to create a love and appreciation for authentic homemade meals. Her prayer and desire is to see people healed and whole in every area of their lives. Mrs. Simmons is also a kingdom ambassador for Thy Kingdom Has Come International Ministries, where she serves faithfully. And lastly, Mr. and Mrs. Simmons also own Superior Tax Service. The goal is to bring awareness and understanding to the importance of financial literacy. If you're just not tuning in, be sure like the video, share the video. We're having technical difficulties. You can't see me, but I can see you virtually, and we're excited about tonight. I met Miss Simmons a couple years ago, about 2 or 3 years ago. I had the opportunity to travel with her church ministry. Thy Kingdom Has Come International Ministries on a missionary trip to South Africa, and we roomed together. We were gone for about a week, and just has a very genuine, sweet spirit, sweetheart, loves the Lord. And what I loved about her, she had nothing but great things to say about her husband, her children, their marriage. And I can remember each night, when we would get ready for bed, although we were in different time zones, Africa versus United States of America, she always took the time each night. Either she would call her husband or he might call her, but she would just always check in. And I just was impressed with that. Although we were thousands of miles away, she was still mom, she was still provider, she was still nurturer, she was still wife, and she was still very in tune to what was going on in Africa. And everything that she had to say about her family and her life was positive. She didn't say anything negative about being a mom. She did say, of course, it takes work. And that's what a lot of couples tell me, and people that are married, because I'm single, they say, hey, it takes work. It's a lot of work. But she was just positive. So I'm just so glad to have her and her husband a part of this show on tonight. My mind just goes back to when we roomed together in South Africa about 2 or 3 years ago. We're going to get started with our discussion tonight.
All right.
Families.
Get to it.
It says, how long have you and your husband been together, and how many family members do you have?
You want to answer?
Oh, yeah. Well, Shakim and I met networking and became friends, and, just kind of progressed naturally. I had recently, been separated from my ex-wife, and I had 3 children. I was a single father, taking care of my kids here in Atlanta by myself. So, you know, we were doing it. Wasn't the easiest thing, but I was making it happen. And Shakin was definitely a blessing. She came into my life and she helped me a great deal. Just, you know, just as a friend, just give me advice and, you know, help me out with different things. And eventually, you know, we became more than friends, obviously, you know. So
obviously, awesome.
Yeah. So yeah, we just I had a lot of trust in her. She gave me a lot of great advice in terms of helping to manage the children. She had been a single mother for some years, and that experience was very helpful to me, obviously, and also my parents and talking to them and the rest of my family. They helped me a lot as well.
Awesome. Great way to meet. Started off as friends. I've known a lot of people to start off as friends, and it transpires and developed to something more. You had children, she had children, but y'all came together. Y'all came together. What is the best part about being a blended family?
Well, actually, before I even get to that, I want to just kind of. I think one of the things that really helps with us as a blended family. I don't want to jump too far ahead with the questions. Is the fact that our children got to meet one another or meet each other. You know, when she used to come visit, or I would visit her, because we were separated by about, I guess about 200 miles almost. You know,
wow.
She was living in Alabama, and I was here in Atlanta, and you know, it just progressed. Like I said, it progressed naturally, and you know, just spend time with each other, and you know, they got to know each other and those kind of things, and that wasn't easy, obviously, initially.
Right, of course.
But, you know, but at the same time, nothing was forced. We didn't force anything on them. They got to meet, you know, their now siblings, and, you know, become friendly with them and those kind of things. And I think that really helped in terms of when we decide to come together as a family.
I like what you said. You said several times it progressed naturally.
Yes.
And that speaks volume. Nothing was forced. It happened. What you all have from being friends to dating, engaged to marriage, progressed naturally. You talked about, I guess, during the friendship stage, the children had an opportunity to meet each other. It wasn't just like, hey, I'm getting married. This is going to be dad, mom. It was just like it progressed naturally. So I like that. Progress naturally. And sometimes people try to force things, and some things can't be forced. It needs to progress naturally. So that stands out. I'm just kind of taking some notes. You said that a couple times, progress naturally. What are some challenges of having a blended family?
I think that one thing about having a blended family is that you have to understand that every child is different. The backgrounds of our children are different. My children, I have 5 children. I don't have stepchildren. I eliminated that from the beginning. I never wanted my children to feel like I had to step out to include them. I wanted them to know that I am mom, he is dad, and that's final, right? Although sometimes it's how you introduce the children to each other. It matters up front. We were very transparent with them. Of course, they would see us and we would go on, you know, little dates and things, or we would take the kids on trips. They got to know that we were in a relationship. But when we talked to them about, hey, we're considering marriage here, of course, it was like, what are y'all talking about? You know? They was like, you know, at the time I was Miss Jones and he was Mr. Simmons, right? So they would see me and it was like, hi, Miss Jones. I'm like, hi, Mr. Simmons. You know, it was that. But now we're talking about marriage. So I think one of the things that I tell people is learning to appreciate their differences. I can't communicate with Jarvis like I do Elias. I know they're different. I know how they respond. They respond differently. I know that Elias is he's our very sweet boy, but he's very sensitive, very intelligent. So you have to be very mindful for us of how we talk to them and how we relay messages to them because they don't respond the same. So that was something that we've learned to embrace early into our marriage, although it wasn't an easy thing to do.
Obviously there's a lot of different challenges that blended families face, and obviously one of the most obvious ones is often the other parent, biological parents, dealing with them. How do you fit them into what you're trying to do, and incorporate them into co-parenting now with someone else as well. And initially that was definitely a challenge for my ex-wife, but it's come to the point now where my ex-wife will now call my wife to talk about what's going on with the kids before she'll call me.
I love it.
I find that very interesting, and they become friendly, and I think that's good for the children because they need to understand that we're all looking out for their best interest. No matter who dad is with or mom is with, they're always going to be the focal point in terms of making sure we're always going to make sure that they're doing okay first. And my wife has made that easy by allowing my ex-wife to be a part of their lives without any kind of opposition or anything like that.
Right.
And that wasn't reciprocated. So, and that was definitely a challenge, but it's not really a challenge as much anymore. And that's been a big part of it as well. And that took some time. And also obviously with, her ex-husband, and he hasn't been as resistant or anything like that, but that's also still a challenge because you still have to deal with the other parent there and deal with, whatever their idiosyncrasies are, or, how they're feeling about someone else being in their child's life as well. Because a lot of parents are very resistant once the other biological parent moves on, has a new partner, especially if they get married. Sometimes even just a boyfriend or something is a big problem. But a marriage, a new marriage, and now your kids are calling someone else mom or dad, and some people take an offense to that. So yeah, that's definitely was a challenge, and I'm sure it's a challenge for a lot of blended families, and it actually breaks up a lot of blended families. That's one of the things that breaks up.
Wow.
Yeah.
I think that one thing that Awantia just said was that when we became a blended family, my children, my biological children, and his biological children had already gone through a lot. Divorce affects children in a lot of ways. Sometimes they don't know how to express it. Sometimes they shut down. Sometimes they get angry. They don't know how to communicate. They don't understand why their parents have gone their separate ways. And it seems to them that you're forcing me to accept someone as a new mom or a new dad. But I wanted to relay to my other children that I'm not here to replace your mom.
Right.
And that was important. And although my children, my daughter, I think that we have 4 boys and 1 girl. I think she initially had the most resistance because she was missing her mom and some things was going on with that. But I'm very thankful that in my prayer time, I remember God specifically telling me that there's no way you can love these children and not love their mother. And that was very difficult for me because I knew, and I talked to her about this interview. I was like, I'm gonna have this interview today, so you probably gonna come up in this interview, right? She would negatively talk to the children about me, but she did not know how to allow someone else to do what she couldn't do at the time. I'm thankful now that she has a relationship with God and she's in a much better place with the children. And I openly welcome her, like, hey, call the children. You're still their mother. They need to hear from you. They need to see you. Or even if there were times that she was having issues and she could not do that, I never said like, oh, your mom can't do this. I was like, okay, what do we need to do to help help you get here? What do we need to do because it was about the children at the end of the day. So I'm thankful, that my husband supported me embracing her that way, because it wasn't always easy for him to have a good relationship with her. And it wasn't always easy for me to have a good relationship with my son's father. And I've had that same conversation with her. Like, you're a part of my son's life now. And I want you to feel like you can come and talk to me and don't have to pivot through my ex-husband. Like, we can have a relationship because I want him to respect you like he respects.
Right. Wow. Y'all said a lot. I was taking notes and I just had to stop and to just listen to what you had to say. Something you said earlier, every child is different. Learning to appreciate the differences in the children. You talked about how introducing the children to each other. And what I hear is that not only did you invest in each other as husband and wife or when you were dating, but you definitely, it seems that as much as you invested in each other, you had to triple that to invest into your children to have what you have today.
Yes.
You discussed some bumps in the road, some hiccups that may have happened in the beginning, but you took the high and you dealt with it. You went into the prayer room, and as time, you are in a better place with dealing with the ex-wife or the ex-husband.
Yes.
You talked about how divorce affects children. It does. You said it affects them in different ways, and just being sensitive to how that divorce affects that child, whether they're a teenager, older, younger, it has an effect on them.
Yeah, well, I'll say this: our children were at so many different stages in development. Our oldest was, when we got married, he was 16. He was 16 at the time, and so when I met him, he was already 13 years old. And by the time we got married, he was 16, about to turn 17. Actually, he had just turned 17. Yeah, he had just turned 17 when we got married, so he wasn't even 16. So he was already in high school and, becoming a man in his own right. So that was a big challenge for him to allow someone to really become the man of the house, because he had been the man of the house.
Right.
And even though he was young. And gaining his trust was very important, and I never tried to force that. And obviously, we've had our challenges over the years and things like that for a lot of different reasons. But he knows that I always have his back,
Right.
And I will definitely, go to bat for him anytime I can or need to. And just in terms of the challenges of just knowing that we also had, when she came into my life, Johnny was only 2 years old, the youngest.
Wow.
So he was very young. So, and for him, while he knows his biological mother, and he spends time with her when he goes on vacation and things like that, but he's been mainly raised by Shakim. So, he doesn't really know of being raised in the house by anybody else but Shakim. So it's a totally different experience for him and the other children. Hezekiah, obviously, he's now 16, and he was very young, and 7, 8 years old when I met him. So just a lot of different stages, and like she mentioned, Elias, they all reacted a little differently to us coming together, and it was important, I think, for some of them to get some counseling and things like that to help them deal with different challenges and stuff like that. But just acknowledging that they're, especially when you have a very variety of age ranges with a family, the children, understanding that, how that child psychology part of it goes, and not trying to force yourself. And I think one of the big things that really helped us with that process was explaining to them that we're going to be together.
We're going to be together.
Right. I like that.
So it's imperative on you guys to not be in opposition to one another, and to work to become friends.
Yeah.
And it's gotten to the point now where, you know, our two oldest, they become great friends. They'll call each other and all kind of stuff before they talk to us and things. And
I like that.
you know, I'll just be talking, oh, how you doing? And you know, talking to my daughter. And she's like, oh yeah, I was talking with Jay. I'm like, yo, you talking with Jay? You know, but they went to high school together, so
Okay.
it's a whole different experience for them. They were in the same high school once we moved in together. They were going to high school together, so that's one of the things that they had to deal with, and you know, moving to a new high school. So they had each other to kind of lean on, and I think that really helped them in that challenge. And, you know, helped them bond and stuff like that. And you know, it's just a lot of different things. I think they really leaned on one another, and in a lot of ways, even though Kamari was not the oldest, she a lot of times would be the most outspoken one. She was the only girl, but I think she's a natural leader in a lot of ways, though, as well. So you know, her and Jarvis get along really well. But you know, letting them know that we're going to be together, and you know, they're going to have to find a way to get along and respect us as parents. You know, because it's not going to be a lot of you know, trying to talk to one parent and, you know, without communicating with the other. You know, that's the kind of you know, and even in non-blended families, they try to do that kind of stuff. You know, try to, you know, I'm going to tell mom, but dad won't do anything. You know, that may work once or twice, but it's not going to work too many other times than that. So we, you know, we got wise to that real quick, and especially when, you know, the parents will, when the children will try to go to their biological parent, you know, you want to do something, or you know, or you try to tell the other parent, you know, and they don't know that you talk to the other parent, you know, that kind of thing. So, you know, just general child tricks and things that you got to get. So yeah, So they definitely had to learn to get along. But that was that ground with them.
What advice would you give couples about to marry that will have a blended family?
I think the first thing that I would say is be transparent about your intentions for marriage. Because sometimes you marry because you want that individual, right? I love them, I want to be with them, but you're not really, you haven't really grasped the importance of what you're about to embrace. And for me, I didn't grow up in a blended family. I grew up with my mom and my dad, but they divorced when I was young. So I didn't know what that looked like from a cohesive standpoint, right? So I didn't have an example along the way of what a blended family looks like, at least not a positive example, if that makes sense. So I would tell people, be very clear and transparent about your intentions for marriage, because if you're marrying just because you love that individual and it's like, I don't care what the kids do, or I don't care nothing about the outside parent, or if you're going with that perspective, you are definitely setting yourself up for failure. So my advice would be, especially to the soon-to-be wives or the women that are considering marrying, and there's blended, and you will be a blended family. My advice is that love covers a multitude of faults, right? And that like, you see it on plaques and you see it all over the place, but it really does cover a multitude. It covered me to cover my children's mother. It taught me how to love my children when they didn't want me to love them. It taught me how to deal with, you not my mom and you not my dad type thing. It made me love them and show up when they didn't even want me to be there. They didn't understand that. But now my daughter, she loves me like she's my daughter, right? And she can talk to me about anything. She calls me. I'm like, oh, I talked to Kamari. He's like, Kamaria, you know, like she calls me for everything, good, bad, or indifferent. We can have those conversations. And just to hear her say, I know it was a little bit difficult, you know, she'll say, I was a little bit difficult, but, you know, I'm thankful that you put up with me. And to look back at that girl I met when she was 12 and now she's 21, about to be 22 in November,
Wow.
to see how she's matured enough that I was able to love her through some very difficult times in her life, and my husband with our other children through some very difficult times in their life. I would tell them that be very clear about why you're going into this.
Mm.
And don't just do it because your flesh is tickling and you just want to say married, right?
Come on now.
Because when all the lights cut off and the dust is settled, and you looking at him crazy and she looking at you crazy, and you like, I don't know if I'm made for this. That's when it gets real, right? That's when the rubber really hits the road. That's when you be like, it's been really like a lot of times I was like, Lord, did you really send me to this? Like seriously. And I can remember a time me really telling my husband, like, you can leave because I know you didn't sign up for this, right? Because things had gotten so difficult because we didn't learn how to just not only blend the children, but make us all a cohesive unit. That we didn't have our own individual agendas. And it was hard for me to relinquish my authority as a single mother, to really trust him with my children, because it was like, it's always been me. It's been me. I'm sure it's me. That's all it's been. So now you saying I love you like for real, but I gotta relinquish authority to let you discipline my children, and that was a very real place for me. But in time, I knew that I can trust him. So he wasn't just a Wansia and my children. God allowed him to become the father of our children and me the mother of our children. So it's not your kids or my kids. We have 5 children. That's it.
I like that. Ooh, blended families, blended love, blended. I love it. The word blended. So things you said powerful. So if you were engaged and watching, about to get married, Mrs. Simmons gave some profound advice. Everything they have said, both Mr. and Mrs. Simmons, has been profound from start to finish. She said, be transparent about your intention. Grasp the importance about what you're about to embrace. Be clear of your intentions about marriage. She talked about how love covers. She talked about him imparting unto the children when they first married, and how the seeds they planted have blossomed years later, how they can look back and how the older ones can say, hey, I was a little difficult at the beginning, but hey, we made it through the rough times. I love you. You love me. Mm-hmm. Her relinquishing her role as a single parent, from single parent to being a married wife, to being a covering not only for her but for her flock. And like she said, she has 5 children. They have 5 children. It's not step or half. It's we have 5 children. I love that.
That I wanted to share is, I know sometimes people use cover-up words, right? And I notice it when people ask me about, like, how do you do that? They don't say stepchildren, but they'll say bonus kids, right? And I still find that a little exclusive, right? That you still haven't yet embraced them as yours. You still haven't yet own them. You say my bonus kid, but that still means that something had to happen and they become an extension, or they were gifted to you, or your cute way of still not saying their minds. I remember having a conversation with my mother-in-law when my husband and I got married, and she called. And she's an attorney, so she's very firm, and and I was like, I don't know what she wants to talk to me about, right? And she says, what I want you to know is that I think you are a great woman, and I think you are a great wife to my son. She said, but what I want you to be mindful of is that they're all yours, and they will one day remember how you treated them. And that left with me, was always in my mind, to be mindful of how I treat them, be mindful of what I say to them, be mindful of me showing more favoritism to one than the other. Now, naturally, when we first got married, that did happen because I felt like I wanted my children to feel like I'm not abandoning them, right? And they needed, my other children needed more from their father at a specific time in their life because they were grieving the absence of their mother. So there were times that, you know, things had to overlap, but I wanted them to know that I'm here, I'm present, I'm not going anywhere. And so whatever difficulties we face, we're in this together. And so years down the road now, they see that, and it's been evident in my husband and I relationship.
That's awesome. Because I'm reminded as we come to a close, when my mom married over 40 years ago, she already had me.
Wow.
And my dad that raised me, he's a dad. He never used the word step. And that sticks with me. He's always said, because I remember them getting mad when I was a little girl. This is my daughter. This is my daughters. Together it's 3 daughters. Of course, we're all adults. But he never used the word step. His family never said, this is Willie's stepdaughter. This is my step grandchild. It was always, this is my niece. This is my granddaughter. This is my brother's children. And that sticks with me. And it made me proud, you know. So words have power. And I like how you said you have 5 children. You don't use the word step or bonus. And that will help them be bigger and better in who they are as a person. So thank you all for being transparent. Thank you all for just sharing your grows and your glows with blended families. And you all have made it work. You all have made it work. And to see the blossom, to see the seeds that you sowed, the seeds that you planted. It may have been a rough go at the beginning, but you worked through it. And now you have a testimony to encourage and empower others. We got through it. This is what we did right. This is what we did wrong, but we made it. We made it with our blended family and blended love. Thank you again, Mr. and Mrs. Simmons. It was so good to see you again, Mrs. Simmons. Great to meet you, Mr. Simmons. And you all take care. Have a great evening and a great week.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.